Howdy, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It's October 25th, 2022. Hope everybody's feeling good and spooky out there. I'm Trey Crowder. That's Mark Agee. What's up, Mark?
Happy Skews a ween, Trey. A little
Mhm.
early. We've got a fun show today. We're talking about ballot initiatives and Missouri Highway Patrol being used in a pro-weed legalization ad, and then immediately having to announce, "No, don't worry, we're still the least cool motherfuckers on the planet." uh, so that's gonna be fun. A couple of things to talk about before we get to the show. We talked a lot about how polling's fucked up, and I think we might talk about more on the Patreon episode. But like a couple good signs. I don't think anybody should pretend they know what's going to happen on election day. But like uh, as of yesterday, almost 1 million Georgians have early voted. It's 60% higher than the same point in 2018. There's the people showing up are older and blacker than previous elections. It's voter enthusiasm appears to be up. So that's good. Early voting's booming all over the place. So maybe the polls are way off, and let's hope they are in a lot of places. Also, like, I don't understand how Oz and Fetterman are close, but also it looks like Chuck Grassley might lose in Iowa. None of this makes any fucking sense to me. It's all nonsense.
Right. It
Um,
generally hasn't it been true in the past that when like early voting is up, that's generally supposed to be good for Democrats, or
yeah,
or is it
especially
just
with
like it's gotten so like normalized or whatever now that maybe the rules are changed? But also, it's like for good and bad, it seems like people are more engaged and motivated and shit. Like you would like the
yeah.
turnout just keeps going up, evidently. So like, seems like people care. It's just all different types of people who care very, very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because all this polling stuff's based upon like there's like political science is based upon like the history of American voting, and that's how they put together sampling for polling and stuff. But like, we've only had 45 presidents. It's all
Mhm.
small. It's all very small sample sizes. All these people, the party in power, that has the president always loses seats in the midterms. Like based
Mhm.
on what? Based upon they're all totally different situations. Every election's fucking different.
Because
So,
there's always something for people to be pissed off about, you know what I mean? And it's always the president's fault. So it's like,
mhm.
yeah, it's just a rule of thumb that there's a backlash in every midterm. The pendulum doth swing. What are you going to do?
Yeah, we need a parliament, Trey. We need a parliament. So we talked last week. I was pissed off about like when you vote based on gas prices, you're essentially letting the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia decide how you're going to vote. And
Right.
then this article from The Intercept came out this week. Saudi saw oil production cut so deep it surprised even Russia. And in it, they have a video clip. I can't play it because it's in Arabic, so I'm just trusting the translation. But the it's from 2004. Prince Bandar. It said it was a Saudi ambassador to the U.S. from '83 to '06. He said, and I'm quoting here: "The kingdom's oil decisions can influence the election or non-election of the president of the United States, the largest and strongest country in the world. For that to be taken into consideration, regardless of what the kingdom decides to do, is in itself evidence the strategic weight of the kingdom of Saudi Arabia." He said it out loud, and we're still letting them do it. It's fucking insane to me.
I'm sure there's a
But
very good reason for it. And also, I'm not advocating for this. I'm just saying, given our history and the truth of what you just said, I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been any of them big CIA coups or something over there. You would think we would have done more to just usurp control of this country because of its value to us, because, that's not something we've shied away from in the past, but I guess not.
yeah, I mean we've done everything we could to keep the House of Saud in power, and it's
Right.
turns out the stuff the CIA does backfires straight. I don't
Yeah.
who fucking saw it
Again,
coming.
I'm not saying I don't want them to do that. I'm just saying
Yeah,
like it feels like something they would have done. But I guess you're right.
yeah,
They have been doing that, but for this particular regime. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We even let them get away with 9/11. But while we're on the subject of Middle East, I want to talk about this because this is from today. This story made me laugh a lot. So this billionaire hedge fund guy named Tom Barrack, who's was like a good Trump buddy, who was like chairman of his inauguration. Um, he took the stand as though he got arrested in his own trial for he was arrested on the like not registering as a foreign agent because he was taking money from the UAE and Saudis to like I guess the government's theory is he was like illegally lobbying the Trump White House for Middle Eastern policies. And his defense was, I could not have lobbied the president because he was too fucking stupid to understand what I was saying.
Yeah, stupid like a fox, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna? Yeah, got to keep them on their toes. That's one way to do it.
Yeah. Last thing before we get to the show, Financial Times did this really weird puff piece of Ron DeSantis this week. When the headline doesn't even match the content of the article, to me it's sort of a sign of how the media is just totally not built for this moment, because they have these plug and play type pieces where, like, if DeSantis is popular and rising in popularity with the party, that must mean there's something good there. So therefore, let's find it, right? But buried within this story, which the headline of which is Ron DeSantis is Donald Trump with brains and without the drama. Remember, this is a positive piece about him. Had this anecdote in there. These two things. He did an uncanny impression of baseball star Jose Canseco, which I'm sure was not racist, even though, you know, DeSantis is Hispanic, so maybe he can do it. But he would, on first dates, he would say they like Thai food, but intentionally mispronounce it Thai food. And if the women corrected them, he would find an excuse to leave because he didn't want a girlfriend who corrected him.
That is wild, dude. And that's like, it's like you said, that being in a positive puff piece. It's like, you guys are going to love this. Listen to how he used to manipulate women in this. But yeah, it's like, no, he's like, you know, dumb and subservient. That's how I like him. Any woman that's going to tell me anything at all, not my speed. Also, he's Italian, right? Isn't he? Isn't he a spaghetti person?
I thought he's a lasagna American. No,
I think lasagna American. Yeah.
I guess I never looked it up. I guess I assumed Cuban, but I don't actually know.
Well, it's funny because, like, I also assumed that, but I covered him on Patreon, where I review politicians, and I covered him on there. And I just remember being surprised to find, I think, that he was, yeah, he's of Italian descent. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway,
okay. There we go. I'm totally wrong on that then. I assumed Florida, so Cuban. No, yeah, okay, cool. Ron DeSantis is Italian. There we go. We learned something.
All right. Well, actually, we wanted to enjoy one moment before we get into the show, right? If people missed it, this is just this is Ted Cruz getting booed at a baseball game. Not just booed, heckled mercilessly.
Yeah. Yeah,
I love New Yorkers, man.
Dude, he was in New York because he was doing The View to promote his new book, and he got roasted on The View even harder than he did at the fucking Yankees game. So, like, this dude just loves being hated. I can't wrap my mind around what his personality.
Yeah, he does seem to get off on it. Like, that's the thing. It's like it empowers him. Hatred fuels him, apparently.
Yeah.
Hatred and disdain. So,
well, you guys beware. If you ever boo Ted Cruz in public, you were just helping him come. So there you go.
All right. On that note, let's get into it. With us, as always, is producer Matt. This is Weekly Skews. I want to remind you, of course, 2 quick items of business. Number one, if you'd like to see me perform live, go to TreyCrowder.com. I'm mostly in Southern California up until the big holiday shows at Zany's in December with Corey and Drew. Those are always fun, but I got a lot more dates in 2023 all over the place. So go to TreyCrowder.com, check it out. Come and see me. Number 2, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to full-length bonus episodes. We're going to record one later this week. Going to get into why the polls seem to suck, amongst other things. We got plenty more in store, so we hope you'll consider going to weeklyskews.com/more, or you can just go on Patreon and look me up. Either way, it'll work. Sign up on there, get some more skews in your life. Now, as for the show tonight, so far, most of our focus when it comes to the midterms has been on the candidates/lunatics running for office. But tonight, instead, we turn our attention to the various ballot initiatives across the country. Some hot button issues: abortion, weed, gambling, education, healthcare, immigration, all the usual suspects. And you could probably guess how they're going from red state to blue. But we'll break it all down a little later. But first, of course, we begin with the Daily Dumbass. Matt. Tonight's DD, bees for being communists who hate private property rights, apparently. You'll get it in a minute, maybe.
Police in Western Massachusetts feeling the sting of a dangerous situation.
So a woman is now facing criminal charges accused of using bees to attack sheriff's deputies. Now, the sheriff's office says the woman was protesting an eviction at a place in Longmeadow. They say she does not live there. The department says she opened several manufactured beehive boxes that she had on a trailer and unleashed the bees. Deputies say she flipped one box to the ground, making the bees extremely aggressive. They say she even put on a beekeeping suit before carrying out a tower here of bees near the front door to stop that eviction.
We are lucky that we're talking about this as a unfortunate situation, very odd and unique in its own way, and nobody got seriously hurt or killed. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon with intent is very...
Yeah.
So they charge this woman with assault with a deadly weapon for throwing bees at them.
Yeah. Well, hey, they could have been allergic, right? Actually, in that part, like one of them said he was. She asked if one was allergic, or one of them said he was allergic, and she said good, and then hurled bees at him, or whatever. I wonder if she was inspired by Tommy Boy. Remember that scene where the cops are gonna like pull them over, so they get out of the car and start screaming bees, bees, and the cops freak out and run away. Like maybe that was. She was like, cops hate bees. I'll go with that. Also, I feel like in beekeeping circles, this is probably seen as a dick move. Don't you think? Like that, you know, love. I don't know if you're supposed to weaponize your bees, Mark, but maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Maybe some of them get into it solely for the purposes of using bees as a deadly weapon. I don't know. I'm not up on my bee stuff, but yeah, pretty wild choice of protest methodology.
They charged her with 4 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, which is because I don't know if are they charged. Is it one charge per each cop or one charge for each bee sting, or like I was wondering how they do this.
Got to be each cop, because you'd think it'd be like 350 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, you know, because that would be the number of bees. Each stinger is a weapon, potentially deadly. So yeah, I don't know. Good luck to the judge parsing all that.
The good news is the judge didn't give her didn't give her bail, which is like, I mean, didn't charge. They released her on her recognizance, which is like good because obviously she's broke if she's getting evicted or haven't done that, not liquidated per se. So that's awesome. But there's got to be a charge you can hit her with. It's not like doesn't carry a serious jail time, for which essentially is a little bit of fuckery. My dad was deathly allergic to bees. He carried an EpiPen. If you're that allergic, you have an EpiPen. It's not like there's not going to be any threat of anyone actually fucking dying. But this,
I don't know, Mark. Did you see the '90s classic My Girl? Tragic. Remember that? Tragic, man. It's killed by bees at the end. Not a dry eye in the house. So you know. Yeah.
So this woman, 55-year-old woman named Rory Susan Woods, she's apparently into fighting an eviction for like for a full 2 years. So she pulls up in her SUV, pulling her beehives behind her, and she sees the cops trying to evict her shit. So she throws on her beekeeping outfit and just starts hurling bees.
This is also like a terrible supervillain from a cheesy 70s comic book or something like that. You know, she fights with bees, like somebody calling Squirrel Girl to combat this menace, this bumblebee menace. Yeah, I don't know. That's wild. Good for her. Okay. Our first honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is Arizona GOP candidate Randy Kaufman for not whipping it out literally anywhere else on earth than where he chose to pull out his penis. He was arrested for masturbating in a truck near a preschool. That's right. The officer didn't notice him at first, but then saw his fully nude, erect penis in full display with bicyclists and people riding by and preschoolers frolicking in the yard or in the playground across the street. And so action was taken, Mark.
Yeah, he said, so this guy, I don't think he was actually, I don't think the kids were a factor because they said he was looking at his phone. So like, I think he was probably looking at porn, but when he was caught, he said, I'm sorry. He said himself, I'm sorry, I fucked up. I'm just really stressed.
Yeah. You know, who among us, right? You know, like I've been stressed, but I ain't been this stressed. And yeah, like you said, well, he wasn't staring at the kids, thank God, but like have some situational awareness, man. Drive to a Waffle House like the rest of us, you know.
He said so if you're wondering what his campaign, he was running for a Maricopa County Community College District governing board. And if you wonder what his platform is, one of his recent Facebook posts was, our children have to be protected from the progressive left. So I guess he did a quick turn of his platform. But when he was getting arrested, the cop mentioned something about it. He was being near a preschool, and he said, "Wait, are you going to put that in the report?"
Yeah. You don't think that's part of it, do you? That's just a truly horrific coincidence.
And the cop says, "Don't you see how alarming that is? There are children nearby." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, you got a good point." Anyway, he's suspended. He's too late to get him off the ballot, but he essentially quit the race. So at least he's capable of change. So he's one of in this context, with the current crop of Republican candidates we have, he's one of the good ones because he has enough shame to walk away when he's caught jerking off near a playground.
Yeah, such is the standard. All right, next honorable mention is Bo Duke for becoming even more of a papaw than Uncle Jesse ever was. Check out this hot new movie trailer.
Oh my God, this killed me.
Yeah, this is John Schneider, right? This is name, from the Dukes of Hazzard. He's got a self-funded major motion picture coming out soon about flags and freedom and stuff like that. I'm just trying to kill.
There we go.
I want you to take it down.
From where?
Your truck.
My truck, my flag.
Some people find it offensive.
What if I find them offensive? You gonna take that down?
Why not take the new trail?
Because I like the old trail.
It's my road too, Arnie.
I know, but there are other roads.
Come on. I got a shotgun.
It seems to me some things are worth losing your job over, Maggie.
Not to me.
4th of July's over. Take your flag down, old man.
It's always 4th of July.
All of the grass shall grow and the water run.
I told you what would happen the next time you touch my flag, Tonto.
What are you going to do with that gun?
Don't get out of my yard, you'll find out.
I didn't cut him out. You guys get the vibe.
There's more of that. Just a collection of, boomer patriot cliches. Generally, him being angry at a Mexican, him decrying the loss of freedom, him brandishing firearms, him refusing to change his ways, and so on and so forth. And the final shot of the trailer has him standing in the yard, and the sunset behind him, the Lord's own sky, looks like none other than the American flag. Mark, pretty impressive VFX on display.
If you believe the audio, he dies in a hail of gunfire while clutching a flagpole. And there's also a middle part where he obviously gets sentenced to jail for flying his flag, and they show him shaving his head and preparing for prison.
Yeah.
And you talked about it being self-funded. He went on and did a Newsmax interview where he talked about how him and his wife sunk all their money into making this movie, and he's begging people to watch it or he'll be ruined. I was like, buddy, there's a head shaving. You're fucking ruined. What did you do? But like, what planet are they on where you're not allowed to fly a flag? You're allowed to fucking fly from the corner store around the corner. We're in communist California and has a flag hanging out the side of it. And everyone's like, yeah, it's a flag. It's cool. What planet are they on?
Right.
And they're like, he's obviously trying to make Gran Torino, like his version. Because like he befriends all these people who he does politically. Like he buddies around this little kid, and they're all like, "I kneel for the flag," and it ends with like, "I defend your right to kneel. You should defend my right to fly the flag." And it's like, yeah, that's everyone's fucking position. Who are you arguing with? These people drive me absolutely insane.
But there's a whole burgeoning subgenre of cinema in recent years, right? Of these the Patriot cinematic universe, or whatever you want to call it. Like we covered the Hunter Biden one, and I know Gina Carano got a lot of projects in development, right? Like Ben Shapiro's making movies now. They're trying to cash in. Seems like none of them are really doing too great so far, right?
Yeah, there's another new one. So this guy who's a right-wing influencer makes a comic book artist called like Rebel Run, who's like think Captain America, but he wears a Confederate flag.
It's for the Confederacy, yeah.
Yeah. And he's going to make a movie out of it. And the problem with the crowdfunding stuff like this is like GoFundMe and the sites like that stopped taking like stuff for like Nazi causes a while back. So they started up a bunch of parallel like fundraising infrastructure. And the one this guy used was a guy in China who was like, we bank for the unbanked, right? He's saying, if you got canceled by your bank, we'll help you raise money. So he raised like $1 million through this guy's site. But the problem is, over in China, This guy was also running a Ponzi scheme where he was doing just like trying to sell scam PPE gear during the pandemic, and so he used their money to help pay off one of his other investors for his other things. So all their money's fucking gone, so they can't make their Nazi Captain America thing.
Yeah, I can't believe the bank whose whole thing is targeting shady enterprises turned out to be a shady enterprise. It's wild. You would have thought that they would have had more, fiscal integrity over there at, Crooks International or whatever it's called, but apparently not the case. Yeah, I hate we're going to miss out on Captain Confederacy's adventures against wokeness or whatever was going to happen.
I will say, though, at least this guy isn't ruined because he's smarter than John Schneider and did not use his own fucking money.
Right.
So,
yeah. All right. Our final honorable mention for Daily Dumbass is everyone who ever died for not being alive today to vote Republican. That's right. This is Carrie Lake, Arizona gubernatorial candidate.
Yeah, we talked about her a lot. She's fucking insane, and she did this paint by numbers thing that they all do. That's maddening every time.
I'm a true believer that if MLK, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., were alive today, if JFK were alive today, if our founding fathers were alive today, they would be America First Republicans. I really believe that.
I'd be right about JFK because he was a hardcore culture, like anti-communist and didn't care about civil rights. So she might be right about him. But Martin Luther King was a socialist, and Abraham Lincoln was so radical the conservatives blew up the country instead of fucking letting him be president. So I don't think these people don't. They have one thought in their heads: Republicans good, everyone else evil. Therefore, if history says these people are good, they will be on our side. And they can all get fucked. I don't know what they don't real bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been tough, like with Abraham Lincoln, of course, the party of Lincoln, they still call themselves that when everyone who knows anything about American politics knows that the party's, essentially flip-flopped ideologically, between then and now. And also it's like if Carrie Lake had been, she would have been with John C. Calhoun. Well, actually, she's a woman, so she wouldn't have been allowed to do shit. But she'd been all for slavery if she was active in the 1850s. Most of these America First Patriot Republicans would have been. But
in the modern American political context, Abraham Lincoln was to the left of Bernie, for his day, and I don't understand what in modern times he'd be considered extremely racist, but judging relative to his own times, he was extremely progressive. So I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, I'm trying to make sense of these people.
So let's talk about some ballot initiatives. There's a lot going. It's not just the candidates on the ballot this year. A lot of referendums, measures, things of that nature. Propositions. California's big into propositions. Me and Mark both live here, and we've been seeing countless ads for these various propositions. And some of them are wild to me because there's one about dialysis clinics, and it literally, the ad is like a sweet old man staring at the camera, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Rodney. I'm a dialysis patient. And if you vote yes on Prop 29, I will literally die screaming." And you're like, oh, no, that sounds bad. I don't want Rodney to die screaming. Why is this on the ballot? Who proposed this? And then you look into it and it's all just moneyed interest and big kidney and shit like that. And, it's all like corporate disputes and stuff. But it's hard to parse with this shit sometimes.
You and I were texting about that one because we were trying to figure out what the fuck it was. And it's just like a labor dispute that unions and these companies are trying to resolve by buying a law. And it's just that guy in the ad isn't wrong.
Right.
But the reason that the clinics would close is because the company that owns it would rather close the clinics than hire one extra nurse and accept Medicaid patients.
Right.
So you can get everybody involved can get fucked. Just truth of that. There's also the gambling ones, which are there's two separate gambling propositions that are confusing as shit, and both are probably going to fail because everyone's so confused by them. And I couldn't tell. One legalizes online gambling, and one has something to do with casinos. And you got native groups on both sides running ads, yelling at each other. I'm like, I know you guys are fighting over money. I can't tell who I should care about getting their money. So
well, it seems like there's tribes that have the casinos, and you know, they back the casino one, but the other one is supposed to be like some of the taxes from legalizing online sports betting is supposed to go to help like homelessness and also the native populations, the ones that don't have casinos. And so it's like, it feels like it ought to be that one to me. Also, I like to gamble on sports online. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, if you just watch the ads, you know, you can't tell shit from just the ads, and they run them like crazy because you know, which they're just, obviously they're biased. Everyone knows that. But I'm saying like people, if they want to make sense of this stuff, which is what everybody should do, but you really got to like get into the fucking weeds and read up on it, you know, and how many people are going to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, just get a voter's guide is what I always just go like, I get a couple different voter's guides and look at them and see what the reasoning is. And like, some of them might agree with it, some of them don't. Yeah. But anyway, it's like the ballot initiatives to in our state are a vehicle for people with money to buy laws that the legislature cannot overturn. So it's completely corrupt and fucked up, and why California is a clown show a lot of the times. Like it's like everyone screwed up the one last time where they thought they were voting to help Uber drivers and accidentally screwed Uber drivers. It's fucking stuff. But other states are more straightforward, where it's just citizens sign petitions. And then sometimes the legislature can refer a ballot initiative, and then people vote on issues, and the citizens get to decide, which, you know, is the whole idea of this enterprise, is self-government. So let's use it while we have it. Let's talk about things that are going on. Let's start with one of our old favorites, weed. Legal in most states now, but it's on the ballot in 5 more states this year, including some that you wouldn't expect. The only blue state that's considering such a measure is Maryland, where it's called question 4, and it's easily going to pass, I would imagine. But the other ones where it's on the ballot are Arkansas, Missouri, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So I'm not sure what plucky potheads got that on the ballot there, but more power to you. And even in Arkansas, where the next governor is probably going to be Sarah Huckabee, he's going to win by like 60% if you believe the polling.
But because like no one hates this really. Like even Arkansas papaws don't really give, at worst, don't really give that much of a shit about it anymore. And most people are pretty down with it, even in, you know, deep red Arkansas or any other red state. Yet, you know, Tennessee still ain't fucking with it, but what do you expect? But yeah, it's just the, you know, like, I know we're going to talk about the cops, but it's just like the cops and the private prisons and big farm, you know, just like lobbyists who keep it from passing everywhere. Basically, real people don't, you know.
I mean, even old people now, the people that tend to vote conservative and everything are like all lie about having been at Woodstock. So it's not like they're against weed. But yeah, we're going to talk about Missouri because I saw a funny ad last week and I pulled it for the show. It was on YouTube, and when I went to put it in the rundown, it was deleted. And it got deleted because Missouri Highway Patrol hit it with a copyright strike. And the reason was the ad. Matt, do you want to try playing it so we can show what we're talking about? But I pulled it from, and I said it's going to work because it's from a news station website, which is some of those are kind of hinky when we try to play video from them. But we'll give it a shot because the news can talk about it because they pulled it to discuss, but they can't actually show it on television because
Yeah, we'll see.
19 states have legalized marijuana. Now it's our turn, Missouri. A yes vote on Amendment 3 is a vote to let the police focus on serious crime and give millions in new funding to veterans' health care. For our police, for our vets, vote yes on 3.
All right. So, yeah, I'm not sure they get a copyright strike because this is a vaguely cop-looking guy riding a motorcycle, but they said, we didn't authorize the use of our logos to Missouri Highway Patrol, but there's no fucking logos in the thing, so I don't even know what but anyway, yeah, the point of the ad was support our cops by legalizing weed so they can focus on serious crime. That's a good message.
Right.
That's actually a good, that would help cops.
Right. Yeah, but they don't want that help. Yeah, this is from the pro weed people, and it has nothing to do with the cops. The cops officially denounced it and everything. But yeah, it's pretty shrewd of them. Like, back the blue, legalize weed. But yeah, no, like cops, you know, they like weed being illegal because it's a lot more probable cause and shit, and more budget for their departments and all that type of stuff. But you know, you got to have something you claim to smell if you want to illegally search somebody's vehicle or whatever. Try to arrest them on some trumped up charges. That's just policing 101. So
yeah,
you know,
it's easier.
Keep it illegal.
it's easier to solve the crime of smelling a joint than it is to actually solve a whodunit. So, like, if you're trying to look busy, you want weed illegal so you can at least look like you did something that day. But there are people who are on the left who are against this bill. The premise of which is that, like, that the way that weed's getting legalized everywhere is crooked and corrupt, which is true. Because basically, like in Florida, for example, they basically got the licensing in order before they legalized it. So friends and relatives of people in the legislature had the market all locked up and all the permits before. Yeah.
Right.
So, and you also have the problems where, like, a lot of places you can't get licensed if you have a weed conviction to sell weed, which is like, you're the most experienced person selling weed. You should be at the front of the line. But that, you know, all that is obviously crooked. But one thing this would do is expunge people's records for old weed arrests. It would not let people who are in jail for nonviolent weed arrests out, but it would stop people going in for nonviolent weed arrests, which I think is important. And I don't understand why you'd object to something that's only moderately good because it's not perfect. But I'm on the ground in Missouri. So again, get a voter guide, figure out what you should do. But while on the subject of people getting arrested for bullshit, let's talk about criminal justice ballot initiatives. To start with the bad, Alabama's got one called Amendment 1. They're calling Anaya's law. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this woman's name right, so I apologize if it's Anya. It's named after this woman who is a community college student who was killed by a guy who was out on bail. Mm-hmm. And the reason they named it after her is because what the bill would do is allow the state, what the amendment would do is allow the state legislature to determine offenses for which bail may be denied. Now, the May is doing a lot of work there because judges will deny bail if they can, because a lot of them are fucking right-wing authoritarian psychos. And just a reminder, people who are arrested for crimes are not convicted. It sucks this woman was killed. I don't know how that relates to the first crime or what he was arrested for the first time, but like, people that are out on bail don't habitually just go back to committing crimes. It's not like,
well, to me, the main thing is, like, yeah, I feel like people hear stuff like this and they're like, okay, but if it's a violent crime and if they're dangerous, like, they shouldn't be let back out on the streets or whatever. But it just completely ignores the fact that, like, people get wrongfully arrested and shit all the time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like our criminal justice system is flawed, to say the very least. So it's just they don't need more authority, you know, to use against people in you know, in cases like this. Like, it's just like, it's the same way I feel about the death penalty, which we've talked about before, which is like, I think there are certain people who, you know, it wouldn't hurt anybody. All of society would be better off if they didn't exist. Some truly horrible people, but we know that we have put people to death who actually were innocent. It's happened countless times. And so you just can't have that. I mean, we still do, but like, I feel like you have to oppose the death penalty because that's not ever worth it. Like that cliche about it's better to let 1,000 guilty men go free than to lock up one innocent man or something like that, you know? And I mean, I tend to agree with that. That shit's horrific. So that's what laws like this, that's why they don't hit for me, Mark.
Yeah. And the fucked up, like, perverse incentive of it is if you're guilty, if you're denied bail, that counts as time served. So you just go ahead and start serving your sentence ahead of time. So you're helping out the guilty person. But if you're innocent and you get off at trial, not that innocent people always get off at trial because that's not. But if you're found not guilty, you don't. That time you spent locked up is just taken away from your life. Mm-hmm. You also couldn't have a job, so you come back to nothing. It's like you probably lost your house, maybe your wife left. It's like it's completely fucked up, and like there shouldn't be. If this guy got bail, he probably, like, I'm not sure what his. I should have done more research for this. I apologize. But like whatever crime he was arrested for, if it was a serious crime in Alabama, I bet it was a lot of bail money. So either he's rich or it wasn't that serious of a crime and he shouldn't have been held without bail anyway. So yeah, whatever. But speaking of the death penalty, another amendment in Alabama would require the governor to notify the victim's family before granting a commutation or reprieve of a death sentence. So you got to make the governor call the people up and tell them that you don't feel that bad about the relative dying before someone can get mercy. So yeah, there you go. In Ohio, this is just a troll one. A ballot initiative required judges to factor in public safety and a person's criminal record when setting bail and bail conditions. They do that. I'm not sure what the fuck you're doing here. That's what a judge does, is judge stuff. So I don't know. There are some good ones here. In Montana, there's a ballot measure that would require a search warrant to access someone's electronic data, which you might not be aware that they don't have to do that. But no, apparently in Montana, the cops can just read your fucking emails if they want with no judge's oversight. It's Constitutional Amendment 48. I would be in favor of that if I lived in Montana, but I don't. So again, check out a voter guide. Here's another good one in Georgia. I can't believe they even have to say this, but there's a measure that would suspend compensation for public officials that are indicted for a felony. Because apparently in Georgia, up until now, you could be like, I don't know, a cop or a state rep or the governor and be indicted for murder and suspended and still get your paycheck. So yeah, maybe that's probably a good one. We need less murderers in public office, Trey. I'm firm on that.
As a general rule, yes, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they can't be suspended with pay, for doing something horrible, what's the point of being a public servant, Mark? Did you think about that part? Come on.
There was I remember reading a cop that was on suspension with pay for 3 years. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, how do I get
right?
Being a bad cop is the best gig in the world.
Well, no, I think being a terrible college football coach with past success, because it's the same thing. You get a bite, they pay you, but they pay you millions of dollars to not do your job. So, yeah, copping is like the lower version of that.
Yeah, there you go. One of the big ones, of course, this election cycle is going to be abortion. And there's 5 states with abortion measures on the ballot. 3 are voting on protecting abortion rights, and 2 are, doing the other thing. Real quick through the good ones. California is trying to enshrine abortion rights in the Constitution. Also Vermont. Those are just going to fly by and probably won't make much difference because no one's going to outlaw it here anyway, unless the federal government. Well, the federal government outlaws it, it's going to supersede a state constitution, so it's not going to matter. But the big ones in Michigan. It's called Proposal 3. They were able to get almost 750,000 signatures in a couple days after Dobbs' decision to get it on the ballot. Because people were fired up at that time, not so much anymore, but I hope they get more fired up. But it's obviously more urgent in Michigan and California because Michigan has a 1931 abortion ban on the books, though it's been blocked by the courts so far. They also have a legislature controlled by Republicans. But polls have found the citizen-initiated measure leading, and also the presence on the ballot might also boost Democratic turnout, which would help Gretchen Whitmer get elected and keep that psycho Tudor Dixon out of the fucking governor's office. So that'd be good. On the bad side, Kentucky has a measure called the No Right to Abortion and Constitution Amendment that would, make it obvious that you can't get an abortion in Kentucky, which is already the case. They already had a trigger law, but there's still an ongoing legal battle over that. So it's not in full effect yet, but I imagine it will be eventually. The worst one, the Kentucky one doesn't do anything because they're just all these things are just such signaling. A lot of them, including this one. Montana has a born alive referendum on their thing, which basically says you can't kill a baby after it's born.
Right,
which is always the case.
Has that been on the table up until now? I failed to realize that. But no, it's right. It's makes it illegal to murder infants who are born alive. So thanks for clarifying that, Montana. I mean, literally, is it part of that whole narrative? They try to make people think that type of shit is happening, that babies are being, literal babies are being pulled out and killed and stuff. That's part of the propaganda that they push or whatever. So this law is trying to codify that or something. It's trying to, I mean, I don't know. It's like a boogeyman, but I don't know what the hell. It's a thing. It's no one could possibly be against this. It's because it's not a real thing that that anyone has to be worried about.
It's the rare government initiative that is going to have 100% success rate because they're just Montana's banning the Babadook, Trey. I'm going to read this quote from a doctor in Missoula. He says, quote, "It's just part of the propaganda and false narrative surrounding abortion. A botched abortion is a result in live birth." It's just not something. It's just not something that happens. That's according to a doctor. If you can believe them about doctor stuff. There's no real way to combat this, but this is from a debate between incumbent Democrat Susan Wild and Republican challenger Lisa Scheller in the Pennsylvania 7th for Congress. And Lisa Scheller tried to make this fucking point to bring up partial birth abortion. And then the only real response is what Susan Wild said here. Matt, if you got it.
She has already voted for legislation that legalizes abortion for any reason, at any time, on demand, up till including a minute before a full-term birth at taxpayer expense.
Representative Wild.
Thank you. Partial birth abortion does not exist except as a figment of the GOP's mind.
There you go. That's it. You can cut it, Matt.
In this country.
That's the only. What are you supposed to say? It's like there's nothing. Like they just made up this thing to be against, and I don't know. Like it's right, so much for stuff.
But that's like chapter 1, dude. Making up something to be against, you know, like that. They stay doing that. All their biggest issues are that the fucking critical race theory and the goddamn kitty litter and cancel culture and this. It's all just imaginary boogeyman that they get everybody ginned up over, and it fucking works. That's the most frustrating part about it is it's like none of it's even real. All the shit they're driving the country into the ground over isn't real. So
I mean,
yeah.
The beauty of it is you can't fail. Like I said, it's 100% success rate. They're going to take office day 1 and be like, we've stopped the kitty litter in the schools, and they will be correct. They will absolutely be correct.
Right. Yeah.
So while we're on the subject of abortion, let's talk about healthcare because abortion is fucking healthcare. This on the ballot in South Dakota is an initiative to expand Medicaid coverage. This one's funny to me because South Dakota did not take the Medicaid expansion came from Obamacare, and my read of this is it's more expansive than Obamacare. So voters are going around the legislature and making South Dakota more progressive than it would be if it just took Obamacare. So that one really made me laugh. These things have passed in other red states because people like going to the doctor even if they don't like Democrats. So yeah, I hope that passes. A few things about election laws. We put these in 2 buckets, like we've been doing with other laws. There've been the things that the initiatives that would make things better, and the ones that would make it worse. Connecticut's adding early voting, which Connecticut randomly does not have early voting, which is there are only 3 other the only states that also don't have it are Alabama, Mississippi, and New Hampshire. I don't know what Connecticut and New Hampshire are doing. I know what Alabama and Mississippi are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan is considering a proposal that would permit the use of ballot drop boxes and require 9 days of early voting, as also no excuse absentee voting, which is good. Everyone should be able to vote by the mail. Let's make it easy. Nevada, here's the fun one. They're considering ranked choice voting, which we talked about in Alaska, and it's confused the shit out of everyone there. I am for it. I don't understand why people find it so confusing, but the fun part to me is the Democratic Party is campaigning hard against it. I was trying to figure out why, and then I had the eureka moment. It's, if they don't have the lesser of 2 evils argument, they can't get so many centrists elected, because what a lot of progressives will do is rate the progressive first, the centrist Dem second before the Republican, and if the progressive hits for a lot of people, there'll be a lot more in office because they won't be able to primaries to fucking beat the man with a bunch of money. So that's my assumption of that situation, what's going on there. The ballot initiatives that would make things worse. In Arizona, the proposition would require a date of birth and voter ID number just to submit mail ballots, and would tighten the rules for acceptable photo IDs for in-person voting. So it's just adding a bunch of steps because, like, yeah.
Again, what is the argument for this supposed to be? That it's voter fraud, right? And I'm doing air quotes, but it's like, no, we have people voting illegally that shouldn't be, and so these measures are intended to combat that, right? Again,
yeah.
Not a thing. Like it's not, the only time fucking bullshit comes up in regards to elections is stuff they're doing. But yeah, just add it.
This is sort of, I don't understand. I don't know. I guess maybe a lot of people don't know enough criminals. But like criminals respond to incentives just like everyone else, right? You don't commit a crime when there's no angle in it. And in-person voter fraud, why am I risking jail time
for
$0 to help Joe Biden get 1 more vote for president?
Right.
What's the fucking angle in it?
Yeah.
It's like the fentanyl Halloween candy craze. Why would a drug dealer give away $1,000 in drugs to kill kids?
Right.
what's the
to
profit?
what end? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, but I guess the idea is here is if you, I don't know how you need a voter, how you're going to require a voter ID to submit mail ballots, who you show the ID to, whether you have to photocopy it, or all this stuff is like you add like you know they were kicking back ballots for not having signatures in the right place or whatever in your mail ballot. It just adds a step where you can, this person forgot to fill in their birthday in their ballot, so that one's out.
Right. Yeah, it's one more thing that someone can fuck up, which will justify them throwing their vote away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of progressive cities have been allowing people who are undocumented to vote in local elections, and Ohio has a statewide law that would ban that. Yeah, Louisiana is also considering something similar. But on the other hand, Arizona is considering a proposition to allow non-citizens to get in-state tuition. So I hope that works, because that way people should be able to go to school. If people want to live in our country, you should want them to go to school so they can participate in society and contribute to the economy and all that kind of shit, right? You would think?
No,
right.
Smart people don't hit. Like, knowing stuff ain't it, Mark. Like, you ain't heard about the liberal professors brainwashing our youth? Surprised you haven't heard about that. It's a massive problem. You know, you can't, people learning stuff, bad for America as a general rule.
Yeah. This last one having to do with immigration. In Massachusetts, there's a ballot initiative that would approve a legislature-passed measure that would allow residents to obtain a driver's license even if they're not in the U.S. legally. Now, the mechanics here is the legislature passed it. The governor, who's a Republican in Massachusetts for some reason, who's popular, vetoed it because it's good for immigrants. And I don't know why they keep fucking electing this idiot. He was overridden by the Democratic legislature, but they decided to put the law before the voters too to cement it. But like, here's my question: is why wouldn't you want, if someone's going to be on the road,
right?
Why would you want them to pass the driver's test?
Right. Yeah, if they're there anyway, and if they're going to be driving, like, what's the like? Again, it's just another, I don't know, way to make their existence harder or worse. Like, it's another deterrent, I guess. It's something else they can, you know, charge them with or fuck them over for.
I guess
or something.
The idea is if they go through like a DUI checkpoint and they don't have a driver's license, they're now committing a crime, which you can deport them for.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had a driver's license, they wouldn't be committing a crime. But also, as a person is to drive on the road with other people, I want to know they can operate a motor vehicle.
Right. Yeah, but no,
so,
that's what I was trying to say. Like, I'm sure that is the thinking behind it.
Yeah.
But we got one more to talk about, right? And then we'll get into some comments, questions, whatnot. So y'all get those ready. But yeah, minimum wage. What's going on there?
Yeah, so 3 jurisdictions, Nevada, Nebraska, and Washington, D.C., have minimum wage increases on the ballots this year. Nevada would increase it to $12 an hour. Nebraska would take it up to $15 by 2026. And D.C. would increase the minimum wage for tipped employees to the same level as non-tipped employees, which you and I both used to wait tables. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the type of thing that's like, it's saying, you know, who would oppose it other than, you know, employers who want to pay people shit. And, you know, but you would think they would be outnumbered by the people who, you know, think you ought to get paid more. So I guess we'll find out. But,
people with money are typically outnumbered by people without money. That's how money works.
Yeah, generally speaking. Yet they tend to rule the entire world on account of also how money works. Matt, find us some questions, comments, whatnot. Put them up there. I'm gonna beat y'all the punch this week. How about this? Everybody, hit the like button. That's right. Like, share, tell your friends, rate and review on the audio version, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. All that internet stuff, y'all go ahead and do it. Look at that. I remembered. Isn't that something? Yeah.
While we're waiting on comments
up here, go ahead.
Did you follow this Marco Rubio canvasser that got beat up story?
I saw that it had happened. He's like a Proud Boy or something like that. He works for Marco Rubio.
This guy was canvassing in a thoroughly Republican area, which you need to remember when you hear this story, Hialeah, I think. And he got beat up. Now, the story went like this. First of all, Marco Rubio said he got jumped by 4 animals just for wearing a Marco Rubio for Senate TV t-shirt. Now, turns out, not only was it just one guy, maybe 2, but also when they realized the identity of the guy got released who got beat up. His name's Christopher Monzone, a white supremacist who nicknamed himself the Cuban Confederate. He was at the neo-Nazi rally in Charlottesville. And there's a famous video of like there's a protest in Florida of some street named after a Confederate general, and he showed up and beat people with a Confederate flag on a pole. So yeah, this guy's a real winner. Good thing Marco Rubio went to bat for him and just believed him. But also the guy that got arrested, he got beat up because the politics angle didn't hold up because his mom came out. The guy that got arrested and says, "My son doesn't even vote. He just beat this guy up."
That's funny.
Yeah. All the polling says that Rubio is going to win very comfortably, but he seems fucking desperate. So I don't know what to think about that. Yeah,
Jim Gray says, "Boy, Smart Mark is earning his money tonight." Yeah. Well, hey, Jim, listen, I wanted us to make sure we got through it and got to these comments like this one here. We appreciating Mark, making me feel bad, but that's okay. I get it. Jackie Stoppel says the weed initiative in Arkansas is a little messy. Can't add new growers or dispensary. No private growing can't be changed by legislation. No price growing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess maybe it just decriminalizes it or something. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, read some local, voter guides and stuff because all this stuff. A lot of this stuff is some of the ballot initiatives. We didn't get into it, but are literally just ballot initiatives that say we got to make ballot initiatives less confusing.
And I'm sure the ads for those ballot initiatives are fucking confusing. Amy Taylor says, "Mailed my ballot. Check the website. My vote is lodged. So voted." Smiley face. Yeah, good for you. I need to. We've got our ballots here in California there, and they send voter guides out too, and I was reading through that, trying to do my homework. I'll be sending mine off very soon. I hope everybody else does as well if you're able to, and just vote however you can. Michael Nauf says, "I remember being a kid and the adults talking about people putting drugs and razor blades in Halloween candy. Well, it never happened. It never happened to anybody I know growing up. The bull needs to stop." Yeah, that feels like one that's like always been around, or at least like since I was a kid too, for sure. It was like, razor blades and candy apples and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Once we're through moral panics, we always realize how stupid we were, but we never apply that knowledge going forward.
Right. Dottie Kelly says it was the myth of LSD in the candy when I was a kid. Yeah, that'd be fun. Hey, tripping out on Halloween, why not? But yeah, people are not just giving away free drugs like as a prank. As a general rule. Again, with the fentanyl and stuff, it's like, I think the idea is they're trying to make the shitty drugs they have seem to hit harder for people, but it's so dangerous and volatile that that it's really easy to fuck that up, and then so people do, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, the old myths about people lacing weed with other shit like just because and that type of thing. Like
I'm in no way arguing that fentanyl is good to take. Like there's a bunch of people have died in New York recently from fentanyl-laced cocaine. And you're right. My understanding is drug dealers put it in there because it makes bad coke seem like good coke.
Right.
But they're also making a bet that a regular drug user has a built-up tolerance that it won't kill them, because what any business, including drug dealers, want is a repeat customer. Kids don't have any tolerance. You're not going to get a repeat customer. Even if kids know that what they took and they got high and want to come back and buy more, you're just killing the kid. There's no fucking thought process to it. So yeah, drug dealers are smarter than all these people that are panicking about your kids getting high. Is what I'm saying.
Carta says, "I wish we had an initiative in California to go after water thieves like Nestle." Yeah, really looking forward to the water wars. Those are going to be fun. I don't know if I don't know if I'll still be a fighting age when I'm drafted into the water wars in a few years. But
For those that don't know what Carter is referring to, even when California is in the middle of huge droughts, Nestle gets free water off our public lands to pump into their bottled water. They pay basically nothing, and they sell that shit to us for way more than water should cost. So they're just
there was a Nestle Pure Life. They get it from all over the place, but one of the places I know they used to get it was from just a fire hydrant in Salina, Tennessee. A fire hydrant at a trailer park in Salina, Tennessee. They would hook a water truck up to it. And I guarantee you then later just put that into the Pure Life bottle and charge everybody, $1 per bottle in the vending machine or whatever. But Nestle's a fucking nightmare in every way. They've literally killed babies in the past and stuff by selling people shitty or telling women to use their formula instead of breastfeeding specifically and all this stuff. And then babies got malnourished and died. And it's just Nestle's a fucking truly evil corporation. It's wild. You don't think about it because, you know, chocolate, but yeah, they're fucked up.
They had a Supreme Court case last year.
Aaron McCullough says, just so y'all know, the Facebook feed completely crapped out. Well, that's great. That's the thing about doing live shit. I guess we are unaware of it until it's already happened. That really sucks, though. Eric Laufenberg says, go to the YouTube feed. It is much better. Well, glad to hear that the Facebook thing is starting to become a major problem. That's that's good news. Yeah. Well, sorry about that, everybody. Robin Rules CW says, we'll be seeing you in Orlando, Trey, at the show and the meet and greet. Can't wait. Love you. Love you too. Yeah, that'll be fun. Looking forward to going to Florida. So yeah, I'll see y'all there. Logitech says Mark Agee is a national treasure. I agree. I think we all agree. Yeah.
Not even my wife thinks that.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew he wasn't going to have none of that. You're in a couple's costume this year, right, Mark? What are you being forced to be?
My wife wanted to be AC Slater and Jesse Spano, so I have like some really loud like wrestling pants and a Bayside High sweatshirt and cut the sleeves off of, and a mullet, which I'm not going to shave my beard, so I don't know how the costume's going to hit, but it's nice, so whatever.
Yeah, stick to your guns. I like it. I did a video once, and I've talked a bunch every time Halloween comes up, but it's always been kind of funny to me that in a lot of couples, it's like, you know, typically the woman is like, I want to be this, and so you can be this, and then you're like, well, I guess I'll be that. Right. Like I'm always like Katie's sidekick or whatever. And if she ends up going through with it, we're going to be Nadia and Laszlo from What We Do in the Shadows, which like, that's cool. But she's like, but you should be the bat version of Laszlo because he's always turned into a bat. So she just wants me to in like a big fucking bat costume while she has this elaborate Victorian vampire thing. But you know what?
Yeah.
That's better than years past for me. I've been birds, I've been all kinds of shit.
She gets to dress up sexy and you have to be a flying rodent. So
yeah,
that pretty much makes sense.
Andrew Kohler says, I don't understand dressing up for Halloween if you can't trick or treat. Yeah, well, we've got sons who will be trick or treating, and Katie just loves Halloween, so it's usually a costume thing. But generally, I mean, I've never been a huge Halloween person. That's blasphemy to a lot of people. But, you know, now that I have kids, it's cool, and she loves it, so I just go with the flow. Amethyst, there's Amethyst, long time watcher, says, I want to see Marcus Slater.
Well, I'm sure it'll be on my wife's Instagram because that's why we do everything is from my wife's Instagram. So there we go.
Yeah. Producer Matt, be on the lookout for some pictures. And we'll put them in there surreptitiously. Like
Matt, quit looking at my wife's Instagram.
We stole those vacation pictures of you looking shredded and so maudlin on the beach. Beautiful sunset and Mark looking madder than hell. Kirsta 007 Mill says, how about that House of the Dragon finale? We were actually talking about House of the Dragon right before we started the feed tonight. Yeah, pretty damn rad. I like a lot of people, I think I had really no levels of hype for House of the Dragon because of like Game of Thrones and how it ended. I actually hadn't even realized that it had started by the time it started. But we, of course, watched it and ended up really getting into it. And now, you know, it's going to be hard to wait 2 years to see how the story continues. But I'm very in.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I don't really see how, other than the fact that both shows have dragons and swords, it's such a different show than Game of Thrones. Both the source material and the tone, the characters and stuff. That like, it's just like it's a different TV show that also has its good points. You know, like I think Matt Smith is all great and everything. So, as you brought up in a text thread, he's really good at leaning.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Matt Smith said in an interview or in a post episode discussion thing or something. Matt Smith said that he had the idea that Damon would be a big leaner, that he would like to lean a lot. So that's a choice he made as an actor, was he incorporated leaning into the character. And I just found that to be wonderful. Actors are an interesting bunch, man.
Yeah. My wife
love them, though. They hit for me.
And an actress and writer. And one thing I learned when I first started dating her is like, if you keep a spoon in the freezer, it'll help make your eyes less puffy after you cry. So that's good knowledge.
That's a good tip. That's a good tip for all of us out there in advance of the midterms and just the general world that we live in. Put your spoons in the freezer, everybody, because you're going to be crying. All right. So thank you. Sorry about the Facebook thing. Hopefully it won't happen again. You know how we are with tech stuff, but go to TreyCrowder.com. Come see me on tour. Got to update that graphic too, which I will. And go to weeklyskews.com/more or go on Patreon and look me up. You can sign up on there and get bonus episodes, which are not live and as such should be less rage-inducing from a technical perspective.
Matt also uses he actually edits it, and we do better production stuff. So it's a whole different thing over there because we use a different platform. But I was just laughing because you've been saying you're going to update that graphic for like 3 weeks in a row.
I know. I never think about it until Matt puts it up while I'm looking at it. So yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, thank y'all. We'll see you next week. Have a happy Halloween, everybody. So you love you. Bye.